Good afternoon, and everybody, welcome to the live. I know I've been promoting this on some social media channels for the past couple of days, and so for those of you who are joining, I greatly appreciate you following along. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Ben Markham. I am a portrait, boudoir, and professional headshot photographer based in Louisville, Kentucky. I started my business about 11 years ago. It's been 11 years ago now. And I started with no ideas on actually how to run a business or what end of a camera to really look through to be a photographer, and have grown my business into a six-figure a year successful business. And I have a lovely studio and am creating art that I love to make and that my clients love. So I am going to start doing these videos, these live videos, bi-weekly. My goal is going to be to normally do these on Fridays. I'm normally going to aim for around 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time so that both sides of the country get the opportunity to be here with us live. However, if I have shoots lined up, those times will shift around. So I will make sure that I'm posting on my socials where these videos and when these videos are going to be. And I'll try to keep it as consistent as I can for all of you. And my goal with doing these videos is to share some of the knowledge and experiences that I've had over the past decade plus to hopefully help motivate you to go forward with your business. We're going to talk technical things. We will go through lighting. We will talk about posing and working with clients, all of those things. But there's also going to be a fair amount of motivation and business talk to help you grow your business and to be excited about it and make sure that this is something that you look forward to. You know, if you're working as an artist, you're working as a photographer, there's no reason that you should dread waking up in the morning. Like this is a cool job. We get to do cool things and make people happy. The first video, this first one that we're doing, we're going to be talking about taking action. And the reason I wanted to jump in with action steps first was I'm in a lot of various Facebook groups and places, or I get questions in comments on photos that I post or videos that I do. And people will say things like, oh, I've been thinking about doing this, or I've wanted to do this, or whatever. I was just a part of education summit that happened, and I was reading through those comments. There's a lot of, oh, I've always wanted to. And the problem with always wanting to is people think about taking an action. They think about doing things, but then they never take that action. They stay stuck. So I wanted to start this series with action and get people moving in the right direction. And this was also a thing for me. Like I had to start taking action on growing the education side of my business. It's something I've been thinking about doing for eons, it seems, and I've just never actually gone, okay, let's start taking the steps. So I am taking action to bring this to you, and I want to help motivate you to take action, to go make the art that you love, to have the business that you have dreamed of, or that you're envisioning in the little theater in your head. So let's jump in and see what sort of things that we can do. So the first step in starting to take action is you have to define your goals. What is it that you actually want? Do you want to run a photography business or any business as just a side hustle? Is this something you're just doing on the weekends to make a little bit of extra income, or just to feed your artist soul? Are you wanting to do this full time? Do you want to get away from your 9-to-5 job and run a business, be in a business doing the thing? So define your goals and be detailed about it. Don't come at things and go, oh, I just want to make more money. Like, more money is easy. Like $5 is more money. How much money do you want to make? Do you want to make $50,000 a year? Do you want to make $100,000 a year? Do you want to do $500,000 a year? Be specific about those numbers. Be specific about, and I'm gearing this really towards photographers because that's what I am. But as I say, this will hold true for any business. but keeping it in the photography landscape. Be specific about what sort of photography that you want to do. Do you want to be a wedding photographer? Do you want to do professional headshots? It took me a while, as the example, to figure that out for myself. When I first started the business, I thought that I needed to do everything. I needed to do weddings and photograph babies and do families in the park and yada yada, and none of those things excited me. It wasn't until I finally said, okay, my goal is to be the best headshot photographer in my region, that my business really started to move. I had to get specific and focus on a goal. And then once I got there, I was able to start branching out. I was able to start bringing the classic portrait and the boudoir work that I do into my business. And that's where I focus now. It's just those three things. I'm not trying to be a jack of all trades. So define your goals. And then from there, you have to actually start acting on your goals. So here, what happens, and I see this happen all the time, is people will say that they want a thing. They're ready. I've set my goal, and they either actually start moving and start trying things, or they do nothing, and those things just become a thought. And there's typically a couple of things that are stopping people from actually taking the steps and starting to take action and moving towards their goals, right? The first thing, and I won't say the biggest thing, all of these things are the biggest things that stop people from taking action and moving towards their goals, towards the life that they want, it's the fear of failure, right? So there's the thought of, what if I try this thing and it doesn't work? And that, when that gets in there, a lot of people just don't move. I challenge you to take that another direction. Easy for me to say. What if you try a thing and it works? What if you try doing a thing and it's wildly successful? What if you try doing a thing and it makes the people that you are creating for wildly happy? What if you try to do the thing and people are excited to pay you to do it? What if you try to do the thing and you love the art that you're creating? It's really just a mindset switch. You get to decide which direction do you want to go. Do you want to start your journey off with going, what if it doesn't work, or get excited about all the things that are possible when it's working? I promise you that once you start focusing on what to do when the things are working, all of this gets exciting. It's fun, right? It's fun to see where things move. Like, I still will look back at where I started in all of this, and then look at where my studio is now and look at where my artwork is now. And I'm blown away by it. It's my work at the beginning was nowhere close to what it is now. My first shoots that I did, I was working in a little shotgun house, here in Louisville, Kentucky. If you don't know what a shotgun house is, it's a really narrow house. It's, I won't go into the history. Sorry for tapping the microphone, but it's a narrow house. So there's not a lot of room to set things up. And I started business there. And then I tried in my filthy garage. I tried to do some stuff there. And then I tried renting it. So I kept trying to find spaces. And I look at that beginning to where I am now. And if I'd gone, what if I start to do all of this and it doesn't work? I would have never moved past working in that little house into the 2,000 square foot studio that I'm in now. So another big thing that stops people from starting to take action and moving towards their goals is fear of judgment. What's your family gonna say? What are your friends gonna say? And what are people on social media gonna say? It's that fear of people looking down on us for trying new things. And so that's where you have to make a decision. you've got to think about, do you want people who are going to judge you dictate how you get to live your life, right? By not taking action because somebody may say something mean about you, you're letting that person control how you live, what you do, the kind of money that you can make, the art that you make. They get to go live their life. That's their business. They get to do whatever they want to do. You get to go do what you want to do. And that's a big delineation. And here's the thing. It's the people who would judge you and who would be derogatory or whatever. If you aren't doing anything, if you aren't succeeding, if you are just hanging out doing nothing, those people don't care about you. And it's only when you start succeeding, when you start stepping outside of the boundaries that they set, that they're going to start talking. That's when they're going to reveal themselves. You don't need that sort of negativity in your life, right? You can step away from those people. And if those people are family that you can't necessarily step away from or whatever, you can control the amount of time you spend around them. That's okay. They don't get to control your happiness, right? That's also why it's wildly important that you take care of the people that you do surround yourself with. If you surround yourself with negative people, if you surround yourself with judgmental people and people who have hit a certain comfort level, who don't want to move out of that comfort level, then you stand a good chance of getting caught in that circle as well. On the other side of things, if you surround yourself with people who are positive and people who are trying to grow, people who are excited, people who are looking for more out of life and wanting to push themselves and keep learning, you stand a better chance of starting to mirror those traits. Your community, who you surround yourself with, is so important. When I was first starting, I was a victim of this. You're going to get a lot of me stories in these videos because, as I said, I want to present to you things that I did wrong so you don't have to stumble over the same things. When I was first getting started, I was in some chats with some people who were wildly negative and were commenting on things that they saw on social media and whatever. And all that did, by being in those groups, was take away time that I could have been working on my art, times that I could have been working on my business, times that I could have been learning more and becoming better at what I do. So your time and the people that you spend it with is so valuable. Another big thing that really slows people down and keeps people from taking action, it's getting overwhelmed, right? Like you try to, let's say you go, okay, I want to build my portrait portfolio. And it's so easy to sit back and go, okay, I have to find people to photograph, and then I have to figure out how I'm going to style them. And then I have to find a makeup artist, and then I have to find a place to photograph people, whether that's in a studio or whether I'm going to go outside, and then, right. So you're looking at every single part of the process before you've taken the first step. So we already talked about, you set the goal. The goal is you need to photograph people to get them to build your portfolio, to be able to present it, right? So the first step is call somebody. That's it. Call somebody that you think would be great in front of the camera and ask them, hey, I'm looking to build my portfolio. I think I would love to photograph you. Are you interested? If so, what day and time? That's it. That's your first step. Now you get to figure out how you're going to photograph it, and you break it down. It's the old saying. It's what's the best way to eat an elephant? One bite at a time. right? So don't let the process get too big before you take a step, or you'll never take the first step. Again, I did it with all of this. When I was thinking about starting to go live, my brain jumped to a million different places, and I was going, okay, what's the set gonna look like, and what cameras am I gonna use? Do I need to use multi cameras? Do I use one camera? How am I gonna get audio? How am I gonna do? I was overcomplicating things. This may all change as we go forward with these live videos. The important thing was to set a date and go live. I've got the cameras, I've got the lights, so let's use a simple backdrop and go. And if it changes as we go, it changes, and that's cool. This is all part of the learning process. The other big thing that really, really stops, especially artists all the time, and educators and everything else too, now that I think about it, it's imposter syndrome, right? What if I'm not good enough? And the thing, this is not finite. None of this is good enough. You will keep growing as a business owner. You will keep growing as an artist the entire time that you are doing it. Like, that's part of the fun and part of the excitement of doing what we do, is it's a never ending education, right? Like, before I was a photographer, and some of you know this, and for those of you who don't, before I was a photographer, I was a sound designer for professional theater. And I started doing it when I was 15 years old, and I stopped doing it when I was 35. So I had a good long run at it. My sound designs when I ended in the theater versus when I started are a million times better. But at 15, if I had gone, I'm not good enough to be a sound designer, what do I know about this? I wouldn't have had the career that I had. And I had a really good run. I got to work on some amazing shows. I worked in one of the biggest regional theaters in the country. I world premiered plays. I got to do a lot of things, and I grew every time I did a show. Every time I worked with a new group of artists, I kept getting to learn and to grow. No different than with the photography world. As I stated at the beginning of this live, I didn't know anything really about photography or running a business when I started. I had to, because I don't learn from classrooms. That's not how my brain's wired. I learned by jumping in and going. And my work in the beginning sucked. I can look back at it now and go, hey, looking at it with what I know now, that's not particularly good. However, it was the best I could do at the time. And every time that I shot something, I got better. And it's still getting better. You know, I'm over a decade in, and every time I shoot, I learn something new, whether it's how I interact with people, whether I try something different with lighting, styling, whatever. Everything is new. And the thing, when you are starting out, you're not going to be the best at any of this. If you've been at it a decade, you're not going to be the best at this. There are photographers out there who are millions of times better than I am, and I love looking at their work. It excites me. It gets me going and makes me want to keep going more. The other thing you have to think about with it is, who are you creating for? If you're creating just for yourself, which you need to do as an artist, I encourage it, then the only person that you have to live up to is you. If you're creating for a client, 9 times out of 10, 9.75 times out of 10, clients aren't looking at photos the same way that we look at them. It's very, very different. They're not looking at all the technical stuff. They're not necessarily going, oh, that hand was in the wrong place, or I could have moved that light a little bit closer, or what. They don't see it that way. So let the imposter syndrome go and enjoy the journey of growing as an artist and growing as a business owner. If you don't move because you're afraid you're not good enough, you're never gonna get good enough, period. So Another thing that I see a lot of photographers who are business owners do, they convince themselves that they're taking action and that they're working towards a goal. And they do that by creating busy work. It's, if I rebuild my website, I'm working towards the goal. If I'm working on my logo, I am working towards my goal. And I'm not saying that your website isn't important. Your website's very, very important. We will do a whole other video, a whole other live just on websites and trying to help you streamline that. But once you have a website that's good enough, leave it alone for a while, because it's so easy. You could spend, especially if you're building your website yourself, if you don't have the resources yet to job out your website, then it's very easy to just to get lost, and you could spend days and days and days and days and days working on copy and making sure that everything's in the right way. And you're not actually working towards your goal. You're just convincing yourself that you are because you feel busy, right? So get your website where it is easy to navigate. People know what they're going to get when they hire you. Make sure it's easy to book you, and keep it that simple. That's all you need to start with. So same with social media. People trying to write the right captions, or so much time gets lost on going, because people feel like they're marketing when they're on social media. So it's important, I've got to spend all this time. And really all you're doing is you're getting lost in a screen. You're not actually taking action. Again, I'm not saying that your social media isn't important. Your social media is important, but schedule that time. Do what you've got to do in that particular block of time, set it aside, and get to work. And whether it's creating your art or getting people in front of the camera. I should have said earlier in all of this too, I'm going to answer questions at the end of all of this if there are any. So if you are watching along on YouTube, you'll be able to put those down in the comments. If you're watching on TikTok as well, I can't see my screen as well, but I will try to answer questions on both of them. If you're on TikTok, link in the bio, join us over on YouTube, and you can more easily ask questions there. Pardon me for a moment. Okay. So here's what you really have to ask yourself when it comes to taking action and to taking the steps to do the things that you say that you want to do. And you have to figure out for yourself is, do you really want it? Right? Do you really want the business? Do you really want to be creating the art that you think that you want to make? Do you really want to build the life that you think that you want to live? And only you can answer that question. The reason that's important is it's easy to look at who we think are successful business owners, successful photographers, and that sort of thing on social media and go, oh, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. Like that's success. That's the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. And if that's really what you want, I would present to you that if you really wanted that, you would be moving towards it, as opposed to going, I think that's what I'm supposed to want. And because you don't really want it, you don't move towards it. There's no action, right? And it's, you hear a lot of people talk about manifesting, law of attraction, manifesting, and whatever. So here, the definition of manifesting is an event, action, or object that clearly shows, embodies something, especially a theory or an abstract idea, right? Or the action or fact of showing an abstract idea. So notice action is in both of those, right? And the life that you think that you want, the business that you think that you want, the art that you think that you want to create, while it's just in your head, it is just an abstract idea until you take action it stays abstract. It never becomes real. And I think there's this misconception about manifestation that people have, that, and it comes from places like, self-help books and The Secret and all that sort of stuff, that if I just think about it hard enough, and if I tell the universe that I want it, that it's just going to happen. And that's not how it works. And let me be clear, I'm a big align with energy manifesting guy, and law of attraction guy. I believe in those concepts, but people are getting it wrong. In reality, what you're looking at is, if you want the thing, aligning your energy means starting to take the action to go get the things. The universe or whatever isn't just going to hand you things. You have to start moving. And then your energy that they're talking about, like when you start getting that excited energy, when you're doing something, that is when the alignment happens and you're moving towards the goal. It's not as woodgy as everybody likes to paint it out to be. It's really simple. If you want it, if you really, really want it, you have to take the steps. You have to move forward. You have to put the energy forward, and then the things come together. It's really not rocket science. If you want to be a professional photographer, you have to start taking the steps to do it. If you want to run a successful business, you have to start taking the steps to do it. Thinking about it isn't going to get it done. And, there's a lot of people think that they want a thing, but then what they don't realize is that they're actually comfortable in their life now. They might have a steady paycheck and go to insurance and things, and those things are important. I'm not saying throw away a steady paycheck. We can do, yet again, a whole other video on when and how is the right time to step away from your full-time job. Probably not the way that I did it. We'll tell that story later. But it's hard to step away from comfort. For those of you who are pro wrestling fans and know who Eric Bischoff is, Eric Bischoff often says comfort is a thief, right? And that's kind of heavy. And what he's saying is, people who get comfortable in their day-to-day lives don't necessarily have a good enough reason to step away from that comfort to go try new things, to take that adventure, to step out and to try something. So step out of your comfort zone. It's gonna be scary. There's no such thing as a free lunch. It doesn't exist. Like, to start taking action and to start getting the things that you want to get, you are going to have to sacrifice things. It's just the way things are. You're going to have to sacrifice. If you work a full-time job now and you're wanting to step out and be a professional photographer and do this as a full-time thing, in the short term, you may have to sacrifice time off until you can build your photography business to a place that you can step away. So you're gonna give up some weekends. You're gonna give up some time hanging out with friends. And that's not a permanent thing, but in the short term, that may be what you have to do to put yourself out as an artist in front of people. You may have to sacrifice comfort further. I've been a professional working artist, as I said earlier, since I was 15 years old. I've been putting my work and work that I'm very passionate about in front of people and out for the public to look at or listen to and judge and critique. And it's not always a comfortable feeling. But to do what I want to do, I have to put myself out there. People, if I want more clients coming in my door, or I want to win more awards or whatever, I have to present my work. I have to put my work out there to be seen. So it all comes down to, how are you willing to be uncomfortable? To start doing this right now and starting, my goal is not only to help you all, I want to build an education platform. That's been something I've wanted to do for years, and I have to step out of my comfort zone to step in front of the camera now and make these videos, and these might turn into podcasts, but to put myself out there now to do it. And it's uncomfortable. I'm sitting in an empty room by myself talking at a camera, and I have no idea what sort of reactions or anything are happening. And that's weird. So there's no such thing as a free lunch. Put yourself out there. Be willing to be uncomfortable. If you're uncomfortable and a little bit nervous or a whole lot scared, whatever, that's where the good stuff happens. That means you're on the right path. If you're not nervous a little bit, taking the next step in whatever you're wanting to go, then you're probably not in the right place. Think about it like a roller coaster. For a lot of us, and I love roller coasters, that anticipation of coming up the hill, you start getting a little tingly, but man, when that drop happens, it's a ride. It's exciting and it's fun. So my goal was to do this for about 30 minutes today, and look at that, we're at 30 minutes. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to put those in the comments. And I'm trying to in 8 years currently. That's awesome. Does imposter syndrome ever I'm assuming you're asking, and I'm watching that on TikTok, I'm assuming you're asking, does imposter syndrome ever get better? And yes and no. Imposter syndrome comes and goes depending on what you're doing and who you are, as a person. Like I still experience bouts of imposter syndrome here and there. It comes and it goes, but it's a matter of what you do with it. You can't let the imposter syndrome stop you. You have to just keep pushing forward and creating or growing or whatever. It's and start to recognize it, label it. Like when it comes up, you need to say to yourself, like, that is imposter syndrome kicking in. And once you can label it, once you give it a name, it starts getting easier to move past. Or if in a moment, if you need to step away and take a breath, come back to it and kick its ass, quite frankly. Yes, thank you, John. Yeah, stepping out of comfort zone is where the best stuff absolutely happens. While I'm waiting for more questions or comments to come in, if they do, if you enjoyed this, be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'm going to be aiming to do this every other week, as I said. And if I start releasing these recordings as podcasts, I will let you know. There's also down in the description of this video, there's a link to join my Facebook education group, which we will be getting more active there. Also, the more questions you all ask there, the more active the group gets. If you want to support these live videos, there is a way that you can send me money via Venmo, because, this is time and I'm there. Or if you don't want to actually send money that way, you can help out a ton. If you're going to be shopping on Amazon, click the Amazon link, but when you go to buy something, click on any product. You don't have to buy it, and then go do your shopping as normal. I'm an Amazon affiliate. I will get a small commission from that. Be sure to follow me on all the socials. All of that stuff is linked down below. I really, really, really appreciate all of you showing up for this first live. I wasn't sure how this was going to go, and I've already learned a lot in doing this, and will hopefully be able to streamline. The next one will be a little bit more streamlined. That's how this works. If there are topics in particular that you want me to cover going forward, then you can put those in the Facebook group, and I will try to cover them. I will be able to do like some lighting and technical stuff from this setup, with doing other lighting things. I may need to bring in models or whatever, and I will do that as I can. So yeah, that's where we are for this week. Go out, have a great weekend, and I appreciate it. I look forward to seeing all of you all in the Facebook group, and have a great weekend.